I'm Brooke Oliphant, the founder of Rise Up Coaching, and in this podcast, you're going to hear about the opportunities that exist inside your consultation space by transforming your treatment coordinator from a presenter to a proactive guide, and the opportunity cost loss of not managing leads effectively and also not managing the consultation effectively to send too many people into pending or to settle for an average at best conversion rate.
Orthomarketing.com, 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.
Well, hello, everybody out there in podcast land. This is Dean Steinman from Ortho Marketing. And guess what? We are back with another podcast for you. That's right. So, hope everybody's having a fantabulous day. And I am very excited to have back with me one of my favorite people in the whole entire orthodontic world. And I've got Brooke Oliphant with me. Brooke is the founder of Rise Up Coaching, and we're here to talk a little bit today about getting your bottom line up, bringing in more new patients, how to close them, and getting your program from A to Z. All right. So, Brooke, welcome. How are you today, my dear?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm great.
Awesome. Good. So we're going to kind of jump right in here. So you and I have been talking a bunch, and we're see that there's a lot of holes in the orthodontic world right now. So let me ask you a question. Where do you see things right now in, spring of 2026? And what's the biggest issue a practice is facing from a new patient perspective?
I mean, it's twofold. A lot of what we've been talking about recently, you and I, is that, practices want more leads. They want more scheduled appointments. So I'm definitely seeing a higher no-show rate and more openings in people's schedules. But then also that conversion is flatlined, plateaued, sometimes even going backwards. So there's definitely this feeling, which is not a wrong feeling, that it's harder to convert people than it used to be.
Right. It is. So let's talk about that. So, why is it hard to convert people now than it was? And we're not talking about going back to the 1970s here. We're talking maybe, 12, 18, 24 months or so. So why is it so much harder to get a start?
Yeah, Dean, the consumer is a different shopper. So what I see is that orthodontics is this beautiful curated organization. Every practice is doing things as well as they can do them. So it's not that we don't care, we don't love our patients, but the systems and processes are old and tired. They have begun to work against people instead of for them. And so what I'm seeing is that presentation model in the consultation, or not gathering valuable information before someone walks through the door, not effectively painting the picture of the opportunity to get started. So much of what orthodontic practices are doing that they think is good customer service and friendly and ultimately going to achieve case acceptance doesn't. It's an entire model designed to send people into pending, to send them home to think about it.
And I just know, so I don't use the word often, but I hate the word pending. If it's just, if somebody shows up to your office and that butt is in the seat, they're interested in getting straighter teeth, period. So shame on you if your staff is not taught how to help them understand the value of working with you, what the results will be, and then get them to start. If they're going to leave, they're not coming back.
Right. Yeah. I say this all the time for anyone who's heard me speak or read anything from me before. There's so many micro yeses before someone even calls. Right. You know this, what you're doing in your advertising and your website and your reviews, the consistency and the value of what's said in them. All of those things are researched by today's consumer before they would choose to schedule. So if they're choosing to schedule, they've already done their homework.
Right.
And
Hmm.
that needs to be appreciated. The process for of intake needs to really align with how today's consumer makes decisions and how much
Hmm.
they've researched before calling. And then the consultation needs to be a continuation of momentum and conversation, not a starting over, and definitely not a presentation of information.
Right.
Today's consumer is savvy and researched, so they actually need effective guidance to simplify and be confident about a decision, not another menu of options.
They have too many options in the rest of the world, the rest of their life. Just make it simple for them. And that's also what's changed a lot in marketing, guys. Is what we do now? You just send people to Google and they'll find you and convert. Not anymore. We need to sell them and educate them before they even went to Google to make the decision to search, because we want them sold on you. We want them to see your expertise and for your name to be in front of them and your face to be in front of them and your results to be in front of them before they even get to Google. So when they are searching for orthodontists, they already are sold, in the back of the mind by you, just because your work will show itself there and your expertise and what makes you stand out. So, same type of thing is the whole recipe has changed,
Yes. Yeah, I'm
and
constantly telling treatment coordinators, I'm like, listen, friendly doesn't earn a signature on the dotted line, not all by itself. I'm not
right,
diminishing friendly, right?
right,
But all different personalities of treatment coordinators can be highly effective when they're good at connecting people's wants and needs
hmm,
with your service. But
right,
if someone is going home to their dining room table or their kitchen counter to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo between three, four, or five different price quotes, treatment
hmm,
plans,
right,
because we're seeing statistically that people are shopping a lot more than they used to.
hmm,
If they don't really know the difference,
right,
why not pick the cheapest?
right,
Right? So
and
the power,
mhm,
the opportunity inside the consultation is to really powerfully differentiate, to
right.
empower the person to understand how to even shop this industry.
Exactly. Let's do a comparison. I like to tell when I talk to a new practice, I try to explain to them, pretend you're a plastic surgeon. Okay, they don't shop, they don't give discounts. You're changing somebody's life with a smile. This is an aesthetic
Right,
thing. A plastic surgeon in Park Avenue in New York or in Beverly Hills, they're not going to discount. You're changing their life. The same
right,
type of thing here. All right, if you want to be a $29.99 Invisalign provider, go ahead, but that's not gonna that's just burn them and burn them and burn them. You need to
right,
focus on quality, on results, and we just said differentiator. I scream that word all the time because you need to stand out in a crowded market wherever you are. If you're in the middle of Oklahoma, you're in Phoenix, New York, wherever it is, you have competition, so you need to stand out. And what's your differentiator? And hopefully it's your results and it's what your patients say and it's your expertise, and that's what's going to make a difference. So price hopefully listen, it's always part of the equation, but it
right.
shouldn't be the deciding factor. If you're going to fight people on price, forget it.
No, and I
Yeah.
feel like if you're fighting people on price, like if they're getting to the fee presentation and that's when you're getting any kind of pushback or reaction,
Right.
that points to something that didn't go well earlier in the journey.
Right.
The patient should be sold into the doctor, sold into the treatment plan, and truly understand what sets you apart, why this is their right fit
Hmm.
before you get to the money. Because
Exactly.
then if there's a surprise, which is fine. It's fine for people to be surprised, and it's
Right.
so funny because that's when treatment coordinators often shrink, but that is such an opportunity to help someone.
Right.
If they're surprised by the top number or if the options that you're giving doesn't comfortably fit into their lifestyle, this is the beginning of a new conversation of collaboration and figuring it out together, not sending them home to think about it. The
Right.
black hole of pending, of follow up is such an opportunity cost loss for the practice. Like the difference between 60% and 70% conversion or 50 to 75 is
Huge.
huge,
Right. Huge. Right.
right?
Hmm.
And so what we do and how we do it and really leaning into those moments where I think sometimes treatment coordinators feel like it's overstepping or we need to give people space when in fact you're not effectively helping them understand or figure it out.
Right. Let's take a step back. Let's talk about the whole. evolution of the treatment coordinator, okay? Because so many practices now, they just, the person who is in that chair, in the TC chair, is running a very close second to the doctor as far as the most important person in the practice.
Yes.
But the doctors don't understand it, or they don't know how good they are, or they're just finding somebody with a pulse sometimes, which is the hardest, which is really frustrating, I'm sure from their perspective. So, we track everything here at the marketing, so we're, you know, banging it out for our practices and lining up appointments and getting those butts in the seats, as I like to say. But
Right.
then when I say, Doc, how's things going? Well, I don't know. I don't know my numbers, or, my TC is great. And then we look and say, wait a second, we got you last month, 47 appointments. How many of them started? I don't know. Well, let's look at it, and we track it now and said, wait,
Right.
Doc, you only got 11. How did you, where'd the other, 30 some odd go? What,
Sure.
well, they're impending. What? So obviously the TC needs to understand it because it's a sales job, So let's take a step back. How should a doctor, go about finding a quality TC? And then if they do find somebody that they think is moldable, how do they work with somebody to get them to be excellent?
Oh my gosh, you said so many things that we could unpack
All
in so many different
right,
directions.
so let's start up. So,
Well,
A
I
is, how should somebody go about finding a
love,
great TC?
yes. So I believe that anyone who is coachable, if you want to learn and improve, then you can be a great TC.
Mhm.
So, foundation number one is just, are you teachable and will you step outside of your comfort zone to learn it differently? A
Okay,
lot of doctors admit to the fact that they don't really know how to train a treatment coordinator or exactly what should or does happen inside the consult room when they're not there. And that's fine. It's not their job, it's
right,
not their expertise, but we do need an outside perspective. And that's why I founded Rise Up Coaching, is to help treatment coordinators become the CEO of conversion. So
okay,
I believe the treatment coordinator, to your point, is the right hand to the doctor. They are the quarterback. They are the needle mover for the practice. Like, however you want to frame it, it's a highly impactful position, for better or worse,
right.
for
Mhm.
the organization. But treatment coordinators are often trained to follow a script. They're trained to do a job that feels pretty clerical,
Wait, where did they get that script from? The doctor?
or
Or I
other,
think it's just passed on
yeah,
because, you
passed on.
know,
I call it grandma's pie recipe. Like, it's
okay.
from the generation, employee to
Right,
employee,
okay, right,
and maybe it gets
right,
tweaked a little bit over time, or the
okay,
TC says it slightly differently. But consultations are typically very formulaic, and it
okay,
positions the treatment coordinator more like a clerical assistant. They're asking surface level questions. They're maybe reviewing the health history form. They're getting a little info gathered to share with the doctor, but the doctor's the one doing the heavy lifting of really presenting the treatment plan. And then the treatment coordinator presents the financials.
okay,
That model doesn't meet today's consumer preferences. Today's consumer wants collaboration, they want clarity, they want efficiency. I mean, even from the point of the initial phone call, the industry forever has responded when someone asks about money over the phone with this blanket statement of like, our consultation is complimentary, let's get you scheduled, we'll go over financing when you come in.
right,
Or, there's a range, but it depends on what the doctor recommends for treatment.
hmm,
That's not good enough. Today's consumer wants some honesty, they want some transparency. The phone call is an opportunity to start earning trust or create barriers.
hmm,
And then the same thing in the consultation. If we wait until the very end of the consultation to talk about money, and that's the thing that someone is most concerned about, they're not letting their guard down. They're not participating in your process effectively. You're not earning their trust.
okay,
And so then you don't even really have an opportunity to collaborate and figure it out with them when you get to that point.
okay,
So, what
interesting,
we
right,
need from treatment coordinators now is to be on a highly effective fact finding mission, collaborative conversation with the patients from moment one, to really guide an experience based on what they need to hear and learn to get to a point of decision making.
right,
Ending,
interesting.
going
Mhm.
home to think about it, going home to talk with someone else. Why? What are they going home to talk about? What did they not talk about before they walk through the door? What did you miss that is pointing them to go home and think about it, continue shopping around,
Mm,
as opposed to making a decision? So if
right.
that's the end result of too many of the consultations, that tells
Okay.
me that the entire journey up to fee presentation and the close of the consult is inefficient and old school.
This podcast is sponsored by orthomarketing.com. In a crowded market, how does your practice stand out? If you're a dentist or orthodontist looking for a competitive edge, Ortho Marketing is your solution. We aren't just another agency, we are the industry's choice for specialized digital marketing. We understand the unique challenges of your field and specialize in one thing: growth. Our experts will optimize your website and leverage social media to build real connections with your community. We don't just get clicks, we get patience. Say goodbye to empty chairs and watch your patient list grow with a strategy built specifically for your success. Visit orthomarketing.com to get started. Ortho Marketing. It's not just our name, it's what we do.
Let me ask you just some industry-wide numbers here. So what would you guess, or do you even know, in spring of 2026, what the industry number is for people who check off that they're ready for start, actually start, close rate? What is it in, not before they come to you, just across the board, from being terrible at 10, 15% to being amazing at 95? What's the industry at now, would you say?
The industry has been stuck, it seems like for decades, somewhere between 50 and 60%.
Okay.
So
All
a
right.
little ebb and flow. But
Okay.
typically when a
And
practice reaches out to
from my
me,
eyes, I'd love to see 60% from a lot of the practices we work with, and unfortunately, not even close to it.
no. And I will say in different areas, like dependent on your business model, your
Mhm.
price point, your marketing, right?
Right.
I've met practices that were really stuck around 40, 45%, very low same day case acceptance, and then we're able to move that needle to 65%.
Okay.
And
Wow.
that
Okay. It's
gap
huge.
was a
Right.
significant financial gain
Right.
for the practice, right? Not every practice can be or needs to be the 90% converting, right? It does
Right.
depend on who your audience is and what your competition is and what your price point is. So I do have some practices where I would say 70, 75% is their 90,
Right.
95%, right?
Right.
I'm sure that you see the same thing in
Hmm.
just kind of the ranges of
Right.
performance possibility in
Hmm.
your practices.
What would you say, another just number out there, is when people are in that chair, to get them to, when you say start, sometimes, "Oh, I'll let you know," and they come back and we have to reach back. So how many times do they have to speak to them, communicate with them to get them to say yes? Is it one time, two times, same day? So what is the, so people in their head can understand how many times they have to reach out to somebody in order to get them to say yes? Is it, should they be closing while somebody's there 50, 60%? Should they be looking at 30? Then the next time they reach out, another 20? Is there a formula they should be thinking about?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So with my practices, we're tracking kind of speed to case acceptance in that pending range.
Hmm.
But at a foundation, if you want to be a 70 to 80% converting practice, we need a baseline of 50 to 60% same day commitment. This
Okay.
isn't same day braces, sign contract, deposit paid, something
Okay.
toward the initial investment. So if that happens in real time, 50 to 60%, then what I'm seeing is we could convert 20 to 30% out of pending over a rolling 90 days.
Okay.
But it can take up to 18 to 20 follow ups
Crazy,
in
right?
that
Yeah.
90 days to achieve that. And what I see in most practices is that their follow up protocol is so easy to ignore. It doesn't, like, it's maybe 6 touch points in 6 months,
If you're
or
lucky, yeah.
they're waiting a
Right.
week before they reach out for the first time. Like, momentum is dying
Right.
inside of practices the moment the patient walks out the door. And it is, it's so discouraging, right?
Right.
Like, they've invested money with you, with their leads, they're working really hard to get people on the schedule, and
Mhm.
then We get them through the door, we deliver a nice appointment, they end up in pending, and then the follow-up process completely drops the ball.
Terrible, right?
And numbers are being sabotaged simply because the protocol and processes are inefficient.
They really are. Let me just take one step back from our side. What we've implemented in the last 18 months or so is now we have a call center. So we handle the leads and the initial communication with the practice, because most of them are marking them as lost leads because the practice will leave a voicemail a day later or 6 hours after the person initially contacts them, and that's it. Or maybe follow up one more time. So we're following up, we're calling, texting, emailing before they even become a patient, before they even get into your software. We're handling it all. And I just had a meeting with my team this morning. In the month of February, it keeps going up. 62% of the appointments that we booked for practices took 4 or more touch points just on the sales part. All
Okay.
right. And we mentioned before, speed to lead. We reach out to people as soon as they fill out that form or chat or whatever within 2 minutes. Otherwise, you're going to go somewhere else. So you got 2 minutes to communicate with them through multiple ways. And then if you don't communicate, the next day again, and automate it. Nobody's doing that now. So
Right.
we're increasing conversions by 60% by us just taking it over and having a process in place. And now, from there, once we get the person to book, then guys, you need to work with somebody like Brooke to teach your staff how to then follow up or get them to say yes right there. So, it's important to understand that you're focusing on getting people to smile. All right. Work
Yes.
with experts who can train you and be up to date on how to make you better at what you do,
Exactly. Yeah, because practices will complain to me like the no-show rate of consultations. I've seen that increase.
Right.
Oh, right. But what was your process? What was your nurture and engagement
Mhm.
process from the
Right.
time of scheduled before they walk through the door? Well,
Mhm.
most practices don't have one.
Or if they do, what they do is, yeah, we basically do that and we can confirm it. No, that you don't confirm it. You
Right.
remind them you have an
Yeah.
appointment tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Okay. Well, what does that mean? Did you have them call you or text you back to say yes, I will be there? If not, we're going to take you out of the. You will,
Right.
show. You'll see your numbers skyrocket by just having a two-way communication with somebody.
Yes, exactly. And so it's like typically someone gets scheduled and then the practice is sending out some templated info style email with a link to a health history form. All of that feels like going anywhere else.
Right.
My belief, my attitude toward the orthodontic industry is that this is boutique, high end, it's special, it's different. And
Right.
so unfortunately, it's too similar to general dentistry, like
Right.
as opposed to being more like plastic surgery, more
Exactly.
like
Higher
a
end.
high-end
Yeah.
resort, right? So it's like
Yeah.
let's step further away from dentistry as the umbrella and say there's such huge untapped potential within the orthodontic business model and the
Mhm.
patient experience if we were looking for those opportunities through a different lens. So
Right.
that's one of the things that I do when I partner with teams is like let's go with this from all of these different angles. Why are you doing it this way? How long have you been doing it
Right.
this way? And is
Mm.
it actually serving the team and the patient? I want to find as many mutual wins.
Of course, for
Again,
everybody. Yeah.
there's just so many opportunities
Right.
here for us to do it better.
What's one thing that a doctor could do today to just understand how good or how bad his TCO conversion is? What's one thing they could just, after listening to this, saying, "Wow, I gotta just dig a little deeper." What's one thing they could do? One step, obviously, besides calling me or to fix it up. What's one thing they should look at today for them to get in the aha moment?
I think they need to really like how much is it robbing them of peace and joy at home? Like how heavy or noisy is the average or the underperformance, both personally and professionally?
Hmm.
So I think
Okay.
sometimes it's just a temperature gauge on like do I feel like I'm as successful and happy as I want to be? Or to be
Right.
honest, like there's so much grit and passion and self-belief and confidence, like everything that it takes to not only be a skilled practitioner, but also to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
Like, it's beautiful, but then it comes with so many frustrating elements that we can start to tell ourselves stories that
Right.
almost lead to settling. And so I would
Let's settle.
kind of
Yeah.
first take that temperature gauge of like, how much does this matter? Then, from a practical perspective, do some math. If your conversion rate right now is 62%, you know how many patients you see on an average, like a monthly basis. Just if you converted 10% more annually, is that another 500,000? 850,000? Like, how much is walking back out the door that already chose to walk through your door? They were
Right.
already there. That missed opportunity is also a missed opportunity in five-star reviews and their entire referral network. So I talk with practices a lot about the opportunity cost loss
Right.
of not optimizing your conversion rate that goes beyond the individual that you lost, because you're also losing the brand reputation and their referral network. So
Right.
put some math behind it. And then if it stings and it ruffles your feathers, then you want to work with me and Dean. Like,
Exactly. Right.
let's fix it, because it's fixable if you're willing to take
It is
action.
fixable. You have to just look in the mirror
Yeah.
and say, you're doc, you're great. You went to school, you learned this, but the person who is responsible for your financial future might not be up to snuff yet. But if you think that she's moldable, all right, and teachable, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
If you don't
Let's
do it,
go.
the guy down the street's gonna teach their person how to do it and be better. So
Exactly.
step up,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Rise up.
Yes, it does. And the cool thing is that it really takes maybe 60 days when I join a team
Right.
for enough like improvement to happen that it's showing up in confidence, in leadership, it's showing up in five-star reviews, and it's showing up in increased case acceptance.
Right. Love
So
it. Right. Um, so, Brooke, this is great. And guys, you must reach out to her, because I guarantee you that if you're not at the 70, 80% rate, she could help. I've referred her out to many of our clients. I wouldn't be saying hire somebody if I didn't think they were good and I'd do it myself. So, I think, Brooke is awesome. Just talk to her, see what she could do for you, and, let her run some ideas. And, you'd be foolish not to just see what's available to you, because it could make a big difference. Imagine that one extra 10% can be, as you said, three, four, five, six, $700,000.
yeah, sometimes it's
That's
a
not pocket change there. That's some good money. So,
number.
reach out. So, Brooke, if somebody wants to learn a little bit more about you, reach out, communicate,
Yeah.
what's the best way for them to do so?
My website, riseuporthocoaching.com, form that you can fill out to schedule a call with me. There's lots of other resources. I put a lot of value out on LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm definitely kind of a teach first.
Right.
I want, it's a mutual alignment, what I do with the practice. So I call it an alignment call, that initial
Okay.
conversation. Make sure that what you want to accomplish, your goals, your practice personality fits the foundational philosophies of Rise Up Coaching.
Right.
When it does, we hit the ground running.
Awesome. All right. And I got two more questions for you, my dear. First question is, so I'm giving you a gift today. I'm giving you the ability that tonight you're going to be able to have dinner with anybody in history.
Oh, goodness.
Who you hanging out with? Anybody.
Oh, Dean, this one would take longer for me to think about than anything about my business. Who would
So
I?
does it be business, personal? It could anybody in period.
Anybody, period. Well, I think I would sit down with Simon Sinek.
Okay. And why? And who is that?
Oh, you're fine. Okay. He's an author and a speaker, and
Okay.
he's in the business world, but definitely from like a hospitality, personality, high touch leadership
Okay.
angle.
Nice.
So
Okay.
I love a lot of the books that he puts out. The way that he speaks is definitely influential in how I get on stage.
Okay.
And he just has an interesting, very human story, and so it is a goal of mine. I think it would be very cool if at some
Oh,
point
cool.
in my life
Nice.
I
Okay.
got to have a conversation with him.
Nice. Okay. Cool. All right. And one last one, so people to know the real Brooke, is I just got a text if you saw it, but an asteroid is hitting Earth.
Oh,
Eat, take your last meal right now. What are you eating?
my last meal. Oh, well, I will probably grill a delicious steak.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
With a loaded baked potato, a glass of wine,
There
a
you
little
go.
milk.
Okay.
We're little at-home chefs
Me,
in
I love it. Me,
my house. So yes, something
I'm the
along.
same way. I'd love it. A nice medium rare porterhouse would be it, and finish it
Exactly.
off with a Reese's.
I love those too. All right. Well, we'll share our meal together.
Okay, we'll do it. Awesome. Good. All right, Brooke. Thank you so much for joining. Guys, just follow her over. She's great. I get all her emails. Follow her for newsletters. And again, just pick her brain. It's worth it for you. So, Brooke, thanks so much for joining. Everybody in podcast land, thank you once again for being a loyal listener, follower, watcher, communicator with us, and look forward to being in your ear and being in your mind in the future. So, as the great Jerry Garcia once said, nothing left to do but smile, smile, smile. Peace out.
Orthomarketing.com. 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.